Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Helvetic Arms. We're out here based in Switzerland, and today I want to talk about a subject which I don't see covered too much on the internet, and it's what is a submachine gun, what is a machine pistol, what are the differences, and what are kind of the middle grounds, and how do we come to those? And then I'm going to try and compare a few of these today. So all of these weapons here are the semi-auto versions of their full auto counterparts, and that's what I would like to concentrate more on today, is the full auto versions of each of these. So these are all kind of stand-ins, semi-auto stand-ins for those full auto ones. So here we have a FAMAE SAF. We previously covered this in one of our previous videos. If you haven't seen it, check it out. This is a 9mm. This is built in Chile. Here we have a Swiss-made BNT 96, or also known as an MP5. This is basically an MP5 clone. This is a 9mm. Here we have a VZ61 Scorpion from CSA. This is in 7.65 Browning. This is a Radom PM96S, which is a stand-in for the PM84P. This is a 9mm. This is made in Poland. And here we have a TP9 made by BNT, and this is a stand-in for the MP9, which is the full auto version of this. So here, I would start here, and I would qualify this as a submachine gun. This is a submachine gun. This is a hybrid. This is a machine pistol. This is a machine pistol-ish kind of hybrid. But we're going to go into that more and talk about what does that mean? What does it mean to be a machine pistol? So there's a lot of different guns out there of different sizes, and between a submachine gun and a machine pistol, I think the way we can really look at it the most objectively is function and purpose for which it was made for, and as well as accessories, how it was to be used. I think this is a really big way to define these. And for example, I'd like to start with this, the FAMAE and the MP5 alike. Both of these are made to be used as primary weapons. Primary weapon systems in the way that when you carry this, you are either going to war with this as your primary weapon, as in the infantry, or as a commander, or as in close quarters. They use, in a police role as a SWAT weapon. But this is what you have in your hand, and you usually be carrying it with a sling. And these are much smaller to start with. These are heavier. These are lighter. They're of smaller size, and their purpose is to be used in emergencies as more of a personal defense weapon. And that's an interesting term, because there's a lot of guns now that come out under personal defense weapon with different effectivenesses, can you say that? I'm going to say it. So, and these are supposed to be, I would say, more of backup weapons. This one may be a little bit more of a hybrid. And the reason that they were created is like, hey, something's gone wrong and you need to defend yourself against an immediate threat, but your main job is not to do that. Whereas these, your main job could be clearing a bunker, could be clearing some sort of a close quarters area, maybe also apply to soldiers and units who don't use weapons that are, who don't need a main weapon. They do want something smaller, but it still stays something that is more effective. So that's how I would differentiate them. And another way that I would differentiate machine pistols versus a submachine gun is how do you carry it? And a machine pistol, I would argue, would be more to be used, is intended to be used as a holster, with a holster. Whereas submachine guns are to be used with slings. And we can notice some of these differences in the development of these, because some of them don't even have sling attachments. The Scorpion is not supposed to be used with a sling. It has these sort of little holes here, but it's just not convenient or made to be used that way. And even some of these weapons, which do have sling loops, they also come with or exist with holster-mounted systems, which is an option. Whereas for other weapons such as these, due to the configuration, one, and two, the size and weight, there's not really a realistic holster mounting option. And sure, you could say, oh, you could make a holster for anything, and you could make a sling for anything, but that's just not the purpose that it was intended to be used. And so those are the two biggest aspects for me that differentiate a submachine gun versus a machine pistol. What is its primary use? Is it supposed to be as a main weapon, or does it use a holster or sling in its primary use? So let's talk a little bit more about these three here, which is this video is what I'd like to I'd more like to concentrate on machine pistols and the way those work. So let's take these out of the equation, and it leaves us these three. And so these are in the what I would call machine pistol category, and this is more of a hybrid. What are some other weapons that would compete with these in that category? And there's a variety of sizes. I mean, anything from, like, let's say a Glock 18C, a fully automatic Glock, and that compared to a like this thing, which is just way bigger, you know. And so how could you put those in the same category? And that's where it gets kind of convoluted and not as clear. There's also, you know, what are some other weapons? Let's talk about some other weapons that might fit in this category. We have the thing that this thing replaced, which was the PM63 in the Polish military service. We have the Stechkin, the Russian Stechkin pistol, which is basically a pistol with a attach-on stock. We have the C96 Mauser. We have a version of the artillery Luger. I think that was made full auto, but that wasn't really. I guess we shouldn't count that because it's not really. It never really was used in full auto, but it did exist at some point. But we have a few things in this category. Let's say the micro Uzi, and the Uzi is a great example. Uzi, I mean, the Uzi is kind of this shape. This gun was kind of copied an Uzi. The Uzi comes in 3 different sizes, but they're all the same caliber. What the heck, right? We have the huge Uzi. We have the standard Uzi, I guess, which is definitely meant to be used as a primary weapon. Then we have the mini Uzi, which is more of this size, I would say. And it's a little smaller, a little lighter than the Uzi, but has a much higher rate of fire and fires from the closed bolt. And then we have the micro Uzi, which is straight up tiny. It's like smaller than this, and that's definitely small, but still shoots 9 mm. Like, why are all these guns? And they're just meant for different uses? I think so. I think it's the purpose that's different, and I think that the main Uzi, for example, would be for sure a primary weapon. The mini Uzi is kind of a hybrid, maybe let's say a PDW, if you guys are willing. And the micro Uzi is for sure a machine pistol to me. And to bring another weapon into this, the HK MP7, they call that a PDW. It's just supposed to be a smaller, more compact, but very effective weapon. And I think that a machine pistol is an ancient PDW. They don't really make machine pistols for, I guess they do, because we have this and a few other examples, but the MP7 is really has a way bigger, a way longer effective distance than any of these things here, but it's a PDW, and it is a little bit bigger. So is that a submachine gun? What is that? You know, and I would say that the MP7 probably is a little bit more of a submachine gun, and they call it a PDW, but I don't know. So also we have what? We have the MP5 PDW, which is basically an MP5K with a stock. I would still call the MP5K a submachine gun, even though it is smaller, because you can't still put it really in a holster. It's made to be used with at least a 1 of those bungee slings or something. But it is smaller, so I would say that would bleed into PDW. You're not really supposed to use a MP5K as a main weapon. It's kind of like just in case, but a little bit more than, let's say, a Scorpion or a Glock 18C or a Stechkin. So that's my comparison, and that's how I would really break them down. And I'm going to compare these 3 weapons real quick. and kind of tell you about why I think each one belongs in each category. And so this one I think is really a machine pistol because it's very light. It's supposed to be used in this holster, so that definitely qualifies it as a machine pistol. There are no sling attachment points, and just so you guys can see that, it just kind of goes in here and tucks away, and then you can use this on a belt. And look at that. That is basically a pistol that you just take out and can shoot. And maybe another factor that I'm willing to argue that is a factor of a machine pistol is its ability to be shot with one hand. Can it realistically be shot with one hand with any sort of effectiveness? And sure, if you're a beast, you can shoot anything with one hand. But an MP5, for example, is just not, it has a good balance, but it's not, you're not really trying to make one-shot hits with this. First of all, it's a little heavy, and it's just not for that. This, you could do that. You could shoot this one-handed, or even two-handed, but in a pistol way, like a pistol. The TP9, sure, yeah, you could absolutely shoot this with a pistol in a pistol configuration. It's very light. This thing is, I'm not sure which one's lighter, so we're gonna have to weigh these. All right, so I have the scale here. I'm gonna weigh these. This is gonna be in kilos. So here we have the Scorpion. We're looking at 1 kilo, 1.33 kilos. Let's do the TP9. Looking at 1.46 kilos. So the TP9 is heavier than the Scorpion. Now let's look at the PM96S or the PM84P. 2.25 kilos. So this thing is significantly heavier. And I think this is definitely in hybrid category. This, I already know how much this weighs. This is a 3 kilo gun, but yeah, there you guys can see it. 3 kilos, almost exactly, 2.99. And then we have the MP5 coming here at 3.3 kilos. So the MP5 is going to be the heaviest out of them all. Maybe we could drop some of that weight down by using a fixed stock, which is lighter than a telescoping stock, but then we don't have the size. So, or maybe, I guess one of those BNT folding stocks could also be an option. So there's the weights. So as I was saying before, you could shoot these with one-handed. This, yeah, it's heavier, but it's pretty balanced because it's a center, it's a it's a grip loading gun. So it is heavier, but you can, not great, but you can shoot this one-handed, I would say. Easier than, I would say, this. This is super front heavy and it's just not for that. So those are kind of the criteria that I would say would make these things a machine pistol. The Scorpion is the lightest, it's very light, also the smallest round, so it's definitely for personal defense. But it works okay. This is the oldest one also, so I'm not gonna, these are all from different time periods, so I don't want to do just a straight up which one's better comparison, because I'm going to tell you right now this is the best because it's straight up newer and just works really well, and it's just modern materials and stuff. But I guess we can try and compare somewhat the way that works. So the Scorpion is from the 1960s, 1961. The PM84 is from 1984. The TP9 was originally kind of the TMP from Steyr, but BNT redid that. And I'm not actually sure what year they started this. I'm guessing it's probably in like 2000 or something. So maybe, yeah, I think it's probably around 2000, maybe a little later. So that's, those are way different epochs. But what do we have physically? What do we have? So this thing is very light. This thing, you guys saw how heavy it was. This is about as heavy as what, like a fully loaded 1911 pistol, maybe with an extended mag. It's crazy, you know, how light this is for the way it is, and that's because of it's mostly polymer construction. It has a terrible trigger, so it actually probably has the worst trigger of any of these, which is also interesting, even though it's the newest one. I would say, surprisingly, the Scorpion has the best trigger out of all of them, and the lightest trigger. But it's also just, Problem is I can't hit shit with this, so I don't know what's up with that. So maybe it's just the gun, maybe I suck, that's probably the case. But this thing is very hard, in my opinion, to make hits out with, and I think that it's really made to be used on full auto because the semi-auto just doesn't carry a lot of oomph to it. And this is an interesting gun. This is a little bit more of an obscure gun. These of you've probably seen these. This one probably less. And this is this has a lot of recoil compared to these. And I think that this has little recoil because it's a small cartridge, but the TP9 is definitely more controllable. It has just like this grip, you know, and all this, and it just, you know, well, okay, the grip's not an excuse because this actually also has a grip. Look at that. Just hold it like that. But the bolt mass is huge in this, and it just pushes a lot of energy into your shoulder, and it has. I feel like it has as much recoil as a 5.56 rifle. So there's that. But we also have to talk about some other things that are interesting. Is this thing has a quite long barrel that will give you an advantage. The TP9 barrel kind of ends right here, and this thing continues. We have like an extra 2 inches at least of barrel on that, and especially considering the mag starts here, right? So we have like way longer. We have like 3 inches on the Scorpion. So this thing is theoretically going to be able to reach out longer distances. Actually, I'd even be willing to say the barrel is almost as long on this as it is on the FAMAE. We're talking about like an inch difference. So that's pretty impressive for something like this. And they all have folding stocks, or at least telescoping stocks. This one, like this, comes out like this. And so you have this little doohickey here. And the stock's okay. Then you have the grip. So holding it is okay. This Scorpion has a little stock, is just good enough for what you need. And this TP9 also has a folding stock, which is pretty solid for being just a plastic stock. This is just, it just feels, it's actually the most rigid of all these stocks, even though it's plastic. So that's interesting to know. Also, they are all meant, these are all, and I know that we can get this like MP5 with a shorter mag and stuff, but they all have mags that are short enough to be used in a holster. Let me show you some of the longer mags that they can come with too. So for the Scorpion, we have this mag, 20 round mag, that could be used. For the PM84, we have a longer 25 round mag. Like that, sticks out a little bit. And the TP9 also has a 30 round mag. So here we have this 15 round mag, and you can use the 30 round mag. And I think the intention for all of these is that you are supposed to use it and carry it in its most compact form, which is with the smaller mags. And then you're supposed to have longer mags on you so that you can switch to them if you need to. And that's certainly the case with the Scorpion. We have this little mag for storing in the holster. As you can see, you would need a little mag for it to be stored in here. And then we have the mag pouch holding 20 round mags to be used after you've expended the first mag. And we have the same thing for, I would say, the TP9. I don't have the holster for the TP9, so I can't show you guys, but there is a plastic holster for the TP9 that you can wear either on your leg or on your hip. And mag pouches, sure, you can find those, and I would say that that's the same principle. You're supposed to use it with this little guy here. And for the PM84P, we also have a mag pouch that comes with it that holds what it looks like is either one small mag here, maybe just to keep unloaded or something for, you know, I don't know what the military's doctrine is on that, and then 3 long mags. But the holster, this is the Polish military holster for the PM84P, and this thing I believe is meant to be used with the short mag. And so so here's why I think this is more of a hybrid, is because this weapon is heavier and bigger and does have sling attachment points. Actually, there is a sling made for this weapon. And so this could probably be used in a submachine gun role for a frontline soldier, which is probably what the Polish military were looking for, because they wanted something versatile. I would say the only thing that takes away from that is this really crappy SLDOC system. Like whenever you try to shoulder this, it like turns around. So that's not a very main weapon kind of thing. But then for those troops who are either using other weapons, heavy weapons or something, or in vehicle crews, they have a holster available, so you can fold that stock. It folds very compactly. And then we put in this little short mag, fold this, and then we have a giant leg holster. And that's why I think this is more of a hybrid, because this does have a holster, but it's freaking huge. And you can only use this, I mean, you could use this theoretically on your hip, but it's just no good. This is a leg holster. Look at that behemoth. Put that in there. And then you have one clasp here. And then one clasp here. And then this would go onto your leg. And then these would strap onto, that would go onto your belt. And then these would strap onto your leg. So then you have this huge thing right here. And so it's wearable. It's just way more annoying, I guess, than this holster would be and this holster. So they're kind of hybrid, but it does fit in the holster. So this, to me, counts as a personal protection kind of weapon, which is not meant to be used all the time, kind of like a pistol. So also, I just look at this. I love these things. I mean, we got holsters for subguns, like machine pistols. That's so cool. You know, holsters for a weapon that has, you know, a completely different configuration than a pistol. So I think that's just a really neat thing in general. But and I also think that this is the slowest holster, because you could just go like this and take it out. Nah, I guess this is probably on par with the Scorpion holster, because the Scorpion one is leather and slower. But this is, it's not super quick. So it's not like, these are machine pistols, but they're not made to be used as a pistol in the way that you take it out and they're just, you know, it's like a quick draw kind of a deal. It's kind of like, things are heating up, let me get it out now. And that takes a few seconds. So that's that. What else do we have between these three different weapons that is interesting? The TP9, I think, is one of the only ones that didn't make an effort to fold this front handle, so the holster kind of goes around it, but it doesn't have a folding one like this to make it more compact, which is an interesting feature. And it also that this is obviously has some nice modern features. This is made with a suppressor in mind, has rails, it has this bolt lock and bolt release, which actually so does this. This has a bolt lock and bolt release. And something else that I think is interesting is most, not all, most machine pistols have shoot from the closed bolt, which is more like a pistol than a submachine gun. And I think that's for accuracy, so that you can get that potential first pistol shot out with these. So and just more accurate in general, which is an interesting thing to mention. One of these the machine pistols that I know of that is not closed bolt, that's an open bolt design, is the rack PM63 from Poland, which this thing replaced. So it's interesting because the rack was also made to be used with the holster, was about the same size, maybe a little smaller, but it shot from the open bolt, and so they obviously decided to go through to a closed bolt from that. But there's that. This also interesting to note. It also has a bolt lock and bolt release. So and then here we have safety and stuff. So that's interesting there. So it's a kind of a modern design. I would say this is even, weirdly to say, you could argue that this would be a competitor to like a larger submachine gun, like an MP5 or something, because it shoots from the closed bolt. and it has, you know, some semi-modern features, you know, like this bolt hole open and stuff, and it's decently accurate. So yeah, that's just, you know, this video isn't really to, you know, say one is better than the other. Just kind of like to compare this whole subject of machine pistols and submachine gun and show you show you a little bit about the holster mounting options that exist for certain weapons, and yeah, just how they work. Personally, I think obviously the TP9 is the best one, and the reason for that is it's just so light. It's so light, and there is a sling mounting point on here, but it's more kind of like for an MP5 kind of a deal. You kind of put on like a bungee or some like 1-point sling, and you kind of have it under a coat or whatever, kind of for maybe, you know, I could see Secret Service or someone, you know, close protection using something like this. Again, here we have a hybrid, which is just a little too heavy to do that. It would just knock around too much stuff. It's just that the weight is a big deal. And this is almost on the extreme end as being light and super easy to use, but, well, easy to manipulate, but shooting it leaves something to be desired, in my opinion. And so I have shot a Glock 18 before on a full auto one, and I think that is also considered a machine pistol, but it's almost like a full auto, like an automatic pistol. Like, I don't know, that type of weapon is just so difficult, in my opinion, to use and control, that I think it also should deserve its separate category, and maybe that's something else that should be considered. Is there more categories? Because how could we compare the shootability and the way it works, to a Glock 18C, or even this, which is more of a hybrid? You know, I would call this the hybrid class, right? Hybrid SMG / machine pistol. But on the other spectrum, Glock 18, Stechkin, where does that fall? Like, these, I guess they're in the same purpose as these. They all use holsters and stuff, but they're even more compact. So I don't know. Tell me how you guys feel about it, and that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. Have a good one, guys.